In this video, we're going to be testing out the all-new 10th generation Legion Tower 5 from Lenovo, and they do offer a couple different configurations over on their website, and we'll talk more about the overall specs in just a bit, but I've always been a big fan of the Lenovo desktop look. Whether it be a home system, a business system, or even their Legion line, I think they've always done a really decent job here, and of course, if you're not in RGB, this can all be disabled, but it is coming from their Legion line, so it's specifically designed with gamers in mind. Getting in here a bit closer, you can see that this thing is decked out with RGB fans. These are fully controllable from Legion Space, and even when it comes to the RGB on the GPU here, you can control it from over there, so everything's going to match up really nicely. We've got their premium cooler, and it's rated for CPUs up to 150 watts. Memory is going to be handled by DDR5, and we've got 4 DIMMs here, but only 2 are populated out of the box with this unit. This is the 32 gig system, but we can do up to 128 gigabytes of RAM if you needed to. Throughout my testing, I will have the side panel on, and I'll tell you, even in performance mode from Legion Space, which will allow these fans to spin up a little more, it's not a super loud system at all. And again, I do like the overall design here. I think Lenovo has done a really good job with the look of their Legion desktops throughout the years. And of course, when it comes to overall performance with the unit that we're going to be testing today, this is powered by the AMD Ryzen 7 7800X3D. With this, we get 8 cores, 16 threads. It's got a clock up to 5 gigahertz, and we have 96 megabytes of cache because we've got that X3D chip. Graphics are going to be handled by an Nvidia GeForce RTX 5070, and with this we have 12 gigs of GDDR7. You can add up to 128 gigabytes of DDR5 running at 5200 megahertz with this unit, but I've got 32 gigs installed here running in dual channel. We've got two 2280 M.2 SSD slots. You can do 2 terabytes each, so a total of 4 terabytes on the SSD side. Wi-Fi 6E, Bluetooth 5.3, an 850 watt power supply, and it's running Windows 11 out of the box. And before we get into testing, there's one thing I wanted to show you here, and that's going to be Legion Space. So this came pre-installed, and basically this is going to allow us to adjust the performance of this PC. We can also adjust the RGB. From the main menu here, you can see we've got 3 different power profiles, so our quiet, balanced, performance. Each one of these will change the fan curve and the TDP of the CPU, plus we've got a little bit of a GPU overclock up top. For all of my testing, we're going to be in performance mode here, and right down here, we've got our RGB control. So we can actually control each fan individually, even the front Legion logo here. So if you just wanted to change the rear, you could go in here. You can change the color, speed, and even effect. Thought this was pretty cool. It's a nice little animation that they've got for each of these. This is going to be our CPU cooler fan. We've got some extras here, but it's really nice to be able to kind of adjust everything on this unit, including the RGB on the GPU itself. Next thing I wanted to take a look at were some benchmarks that I ran on this system, and we've got 3D Mark Steel Nomad coming in with a pretty decent score of 5,288. Our FPS was sitting right at 52.88. I also ran Port Royal, which is kind of a ray tracing benchmark. Total score over here, 14,314, 66.27 FPS. And the final one I ran here was Time Spy, and we've got a very good score sitting at 19,875. Just judging by the specs, we've got that RTX 5070 paired up with that X3D chip. This thing should put down some really good gaming performance, so let's go ahead and move over there now. First game we have here is Cyberpunk 2077, 1440p Ultra with no DLSS. You take a look up at the top left-hand corner, I've got Afterburner running. We're sitting at an average of around 96 FPS with this game, which is really good given that we're not using any kind of scaling. Even with DLSS 4 set to quality, it looks great, and that's going to jump us up a little over 100 FPS on average, and you can go up from there if you need to. It's really up to you, and we do have a lot of power with this RTX 5070. Plus, we have Nvidia's DLSS 4 multi-frame gen. Now, this is the only game I'm going to be testing it with, but I just wanted to show you what it can do. So now we're at 1440p Ultra, DLSS multi-frame gen set to X4, and we went from an average of 96 FPS up to an average of 288 FPS. And this card will run it at 4K using multi-frame gen, but we've got a lot of fake frames being generated here. So it should take the base frame rate that we can run this at, which was 96 with this system here, and quadruple it because we're set to X4. And it's getting real close to doing it. Favorite arcade racer, Forza Ryzen 5, 1440p, Extreme, no DLSS, we don't need scaling with this. Seeing an average of over 150 FPS, and I know for a fact that this card and this whole system here will run this game at 4K Extreme settings, giving us an average of around 82 FPS. So it's totally possible to play this game maxed out at 4K. Here's Spider-Man 2 at 1440p, very high settings with no ray tracing and no DLSS. Now I'll tell you, if you tried to enable ray tracing right now, this game would fall right on its face without any kind of scaling or frame generation. But I wanted to see what it would do at that native 1440p very high, and it's handling it just fine. By the end of this run, we had an average of 83 FPS. I also wanted to test out Marvel Rivals. We're at 1440p Ultra, and with this I did need to add a little bit of DLSS to kind of get us on up there. Now the stock settings, once you boot this up for the first time on a system like this, it's going to try to turn on multi-frame gen and all that great stuff. So I went ahead and disabled it, and to tell you the truth, I thought we'd get a little more out of this game. I mean, I know it's still supposedly in early access, but I figured we'd be able to do this at a continuous 120 with this setup, with these settings.
Looks like the mission area is...
And the final game I wanted to test here was Doom the Dark Ages. We're at 1440p Ultra with DLSS set to balanced. Taking a look at all of the games that I tested, I've just got my performance metrics on screen. CPU temps, GPU temps are looking pretty good. And again, with that side panel on, even in performance mode from Legion Space with those fans spinning up a little bit more, it's still a relatively quiet desktop system. And I think it really comes down to the way they have the TDP set up with this 7800X3D. Now, I know that it's a 65 watt part, but when you've got this in kind of a full custom system, you can get a little more out of it. And this is just set at a base 65 watts. I tried to up it using a third-party app, and unfortunately, I just couldn't do it. But either way, I did record GPU and CPU temps. So for all of this testing, side panel was on, in performance mode from Legion Space. 1440p gaming on that 7800X3D with the premium Legion cooler, average of 63 degrees Celsius, and the maximum I recorded here while running benchmarks was only 74. And as for temps on that RTX 5070, using the stock fan curve that they have set up out of the box, 1440p gaming, we averaged 71, and the max recorded was 78. So if I went into Afterburner and kind of just set a different curve, made it spin up just a little bit more, I mean, we could keep it cooler, but we never hit thermal throttle on the GPU or the CPU while testing this system out. Overall, I think it's putting down some good performance, and we kind of expected it would be with that X3D chip and that RTX 5070. Fan noise is very minimal with the side panel installed, even in performance mode, and I really do like the overall look of this case. I'm usually not into RGB. I think this is done pretty tastefully. It's still got a little more than I'd like, and to tell you the truth, if it just had the RGB fan on the CPU cooler and the Legion RGB up front, I'd still be totally fine with it. But it is a pretty large system coming in at 30 liters. And yeah, over on their website, it just states that it's their Legion 5 10th gen 30 liter desktop. You can definitely upgrade the RAM here. You can upgrade the storage. And in the future, if you needed a more powerful GPU, you could definitely add it. There's plenty of room. And we've got an 850 watt power supply. So if you're looking for a pre-built specifically from Lenovo, this is one to think about. And I will leave links in the description. And if there's anything else you want to see tested with this system, be it a specific game or an operating system, just let me know what it is in the comments below. I'll have this for about another week. But that's going to wrap it up for this one. And like always, thanks for watching.